Good morning. It's about 9 o'clock. Got to sleep in. That's awesome because there's no school today.
I haven't taken the windshield cover out yet. That's the first angle. A sensor on each tire. Oh, water heater.
Oh, okay.
And then I can, like, front left is 79.4 psi. We'd like them to be around 80. And so that one's a couple pounds low. The other thing though is once you start rolling, after you've been going for a mile or two, they heat up and the pressures increase, and they can get up above 90 psi. So they can easily get 10-15 psi more just because of the heat. So my fresh water is down to a third apparently, and both my black and gray water tanks, or gray and black, I forget which. That one's a third. Okay, so they're about half full.
That's good.
Which is good because I have to dump them, and then my propane gas is that one. It's good to know that I still have 3/4. I filled that in Tennessee. Still on a quarter tank down.
Yeah, there's about a foot, more than a foot on either side.
On either side, it's okay. Still not really enough to, and obviously it fills up with stuff, so it's
But still, that's okay. I mean, it's so comfortable
yeah.
to have the spot. You don't. When you're sleeping, you don't really care about the sides.
Right.
Okay.
I want to do.
Is this the toilet here? I'm gonna knock for some reason. Wow, there's a shower.
Yeah. This is cool what we have in here.
That tripod is kind of jerk.
What do you want to eat?
Just two more.
Oh.
I'm gonna have chunky.
Only the gas can will have to call hamburger saving. Hamburger saving. Say something. Say and then like the.
Everybody knows each other. Like everybody.
So Ronnie
So,
the movie.
so yeah, every single person on this
Kyler's burrito.
Hill.
Soren and that show.
knows each
Cups. Water.
Cups. Do you want glass or plastic?
Plastic.
You want easy water?
I've never done a shot like this before, but I always wanted to. Dave, why did you think it was so important for your family to have an RV? Why did you want to move a home across the country?
We've always wanted to, I mean, even before Tracy and I got married, both of us wanted to, there's a lot of places we wanted to see. We wanted to get out, especially the national parks. We wanted to, we both like to travel. Actually, when I proposed to Tracy, she was a travel nurse.
So she traveled and did nursing.
Yeah, she did all of one travel rotation, but
that's
that was
something.
because I proposed to her, so she had something else on her agenda at that point. But yeah, we both like to travel. We both like the outdoors. We both like hiking in the mountains and all that kind of stuff. So getting out and around has always been something that we wanted to do. Of course, once we had kids, getting them in the equation, getting to show them places like this, canyons and things like that. An RV always had a really neat appeal to us because, for one thing, Tracy really likes to have control over being able to care for the family, whether it's nutrition, health, if a kid's not feeling well and we're out on the road and it's hotels or whatever, then it's just a real stressful experience because you don't have everything just the way you want it. So an RV, once you've had it for a while, you can dial everything into exactly the way you need it. You know where everything is. It's just the same stuff often that you have at home. So
It's like the comforts of home
yeah,
on the road.
comforts and like the essentials, as well. We like to eat organic, and we like holistic health care, and you can't always find all that stuff at out in the middle of nowhere.
No, you'd be eating McDonald's and nuggets and
Which we still do from well, maybe not McDonald's, but we eat fast food, and
Right.
even on this trip, we'll stop in occasionally. It's it's cheaper, I guess, to carry your food with you than to go pay for restaurant food all the time as well. So I don't know, just the RV allows you to really settle in so that you can have that comfortable feeling of being at home, even when you're out on the road. Now we could choose to tow a trailer, or we could choose what we did with this motorhome, and there's pros and cons to both. When we're driving down the road in this thing and somebody wants to go take a nap, they can go back in the bed and take a nap, stretch out on a real bed. If the kids want to sit here at the table and work a puzzle, they can do some things here that they couldn't do very easily in the back of a minivan.
right.
On the other hand, when we get where we're going, and so we set up camp and all that, and then we have a need to go to a Walmart to get something, well, we got to break camp and go to the Walmart with our house, and that can be a pain. When we were at Bryce Canyon yesterday, motorhomes are not allowed in the park over a certain length, and we were too big to even go into the park, which was not a big deal because there was an excellent shuttle service, but there could be other places where you just can't take your motorhome with you. In that case, pulling a trailer, we could just leave the trailer there, and we'd take our little pickup truck or whatever, and a lot more mobile.
Would you do that next time, like pull a small car or anything?
A lot of folks do that. They'll have the motorhome and they pull a car, and at that point, I was just talking to Tracy about this yesterday. What's the point in having a whole motorhome plus towing a car? Why not just have a truck pulling a trailer, and
yeah.
then you only have one vehicle instead of two that you're insuring and maintaining and all that. And I guess, it's because in a lot of those cases, it's this old retired couple. So it's just these two people. They're sitting in the front seats of this enormous motorhome plus towing a car. Why not just sit in the front seat of a truck and pull a trailer? But I guess because, again, someone wants to get up in the middle of their day and go lay down or something or maybe get up and start preparing a meal while they're still motoring or something.
Right. So there's a lot of cool benefits, but was there anything that surprised you? Any negatives that we weren't expecting?
Well,
Sewer backups and I don't know.
we did actually have the sensors that tell you how full your tanks are
There's a sensor
notoriously
that says-
inaccurate.
okay.
Oh yeah, they're over on above the stove. You press a button and it lights up, and it tells you how full your tanks are. Your black water tank, your gray water tank, your fresh water tank, and your LPG, your gas, your propane tank shows you those levels. But the sensors are notoriously inaccurate. So it looks like you got plenty of room, and then you go outside and there's toxic waste on the ground under your camper. So
Yeah.
I've actually got some updated sensors that I have to install, and it should fix that problem. But that brings up the point: is owning an RV is a continual repair experience. You have this entire house that you put on wheels, and you're driving it down the road and you're shaking everything. So
Right.
imagine taking your house and just shaking it continuously. Stuff's gonna break. Not only that, this house is made out of very lightweight and as low cost materials as possible. Yeah, so stuff's flimsy and it's subjected to this continuous torture. Things are just going to break on a regular basis. So far this trip, let's see, I had the roof resealed, which was a necessity every 2 to 3 years.
You got to think about the roof.
Because if you don't, then you get leaks and then major damage once you start getting leaks. So I had that done. I had the generator overhauled, basically. I myself have replaced a few things. I've gotten plumbing stuff replaced. What did I do? Oh, my little regulator for the water pressure. I did that.
And you're going somewhere today to do some work.
Tonight we are going to drive out to Las Vegas and camp right next door to a shop that is going to hopefully add a leaf spring to the front right suspension, because this whole motorhome is leaning a little bit to the right, which I'm being told is nothing to be alarmed about. We're not in imminent danger. It happens. This is a 17-year-old motorhome. So, but nevertheless, when you're driving down the road, and especially on the crown of a road, you're on the right-hand lane, sometimes it really feels like your kids are kind of leaning over to the left side of the... But and when you turn in a motorhome like this, it's like driving a boat or a big bus. It kind of waves back and forth. So anyway, yeah, we're going to hopefully the last shop of this 20+ day trip. We're going to go get the suspension tweaked, and then we hope to be on no schedule at all. So that
Finally.
so we can just go down the road. And
Day 10, you've got, what day is this, 12 maybe?
Something. I'm
Yeah.
surprised I even know what day of the week it is right now. But yeah, hopefully we should be at that point where we can just, if we see something that's cool, we go there until we've had our fill. And if it's a day, 2 days, we want to get to the point, we haven't done this yet, but we want to get to the point where we can stay for at least 2, if not 3 nights in a campground. So we can put the awning up, we can kind of spread out, we can cook outside, have some meals outside, meet
Not
the neighbors.
check the clock.
The kids will make some friends and go off and play Foursquare with them and all that. So far, yeah, it's all been about, okay, kids, we got to get going because we got somewhere to be. So,
Has there been any negative to all the freedom the kids have? Because normally they're strapped down. You can kind of confine them in the best possible way.
right.
Or has that been great, just having them being able to,
Well,
move from-
they have their rules. They know that they need to be belted when we're traveling down the road. If
They're
they need
safe.
to get up and use the restroom or something like change seats or whatever, they're allowed to do that. We've had to get on them a couple of times. Parker thought it was neat to surf in the middle of the RV going down the highway.
Right.
But that's not too bad. And then there's some reminding that this is not a playground, because it is kind of fun to have, a dining table that turns into a bed and a sofa that turns into a bed and all this other neat stuff. But for the most part, they've been very well behaved.
Does the bedroom door close? Is there a
Yeah,
door?
there's a little accordion thing
Okay.
that slides in and out, and then if you open the bathroom door all the way, it actually latches across the hallway, and it turns. It's actually nice. That's the biggest area to dress in.
The bedroom.
The bed takes up the entire bedroom with about 8 inches all
I
the way
see,
around 3 sides of the bed. So if you want to be able to really change your clothes, you just open the bathroom door all the way, and then you've got that hallway space at the end there to.
Do you feel a sense of privacy there, or is it kind of an illusion? Like a hotel room, and you have your whole family, everybody's just kind of in the same room. Do you feel more private, or is it just...
Yeah, I mean, we leave the thing open at night just so we can hear and see if the kids are monkeying around, because they're all out here, of course. But dressing and whatever, yeah, there's enough privacy in here. It doesn't feel like we are, devoid of privacy the whole time we're on the road. And we've been on the road now for all this time, and you're the second family at whose house we've stayed. We don't feel, oh man, I got to get out of this place. We got to go sleep.
See, that's
in
what I
somebody's
thought.
house.
That's what I said to you, is like, maybe you want to get out of this box, but it's comfortable enough where you're okay just sleeping here.
Yeah. I mean,
more convenient.
There are families who live out of their RVs, full-timers, and we've determined that if we were going to do that, most of the larger families with several kids, they tow a trailer. So they'll get a king cab pickup dually, and they'll tow this massive fifth wheel trailer, and that gives them a lot of room, because they'll go to a campground and they'll stay for a week or two. And if you're going to park it and stay somewhere, then I would say, towing a trailer is definitely the way to go. If you're going to spend a lot on this trip, we're spending more time, I wouldn't say more time driving, well, I guess, we're spending more time driving than we are like in National Park. So you want to have the comfort of being able to stretch out inside an RV.
Is there anything you could have wish you could have told yourself before buying the RV? Right. Like what would you have told yourself before diving in? Like be ready to.
Buying an RV was difficult because we weren't going to go buy nowhere near the.
How much is a
budget for
new like this? Like 2016 this?
Okay, 2016 this. I'm gonna guess. I think you'd be close to $100,000, or maybe a little bit more.
$100,000. That's a house. A house on wheels.
Oh yeah. Well, then they go way up from there. If you want, now Class A's tend to be a little bit more expensive because the entire vehicle is kind of custom built.
Is this a Class A?
Yes. A Class A is the one that looks like a bus that has kind of the flat front. A Class C is the one that looks like a van or a pickup truck that's got the bunk over the cab. We don't like those because when you're driving, you've got this. It's like my hat over your and you can't see, especially when we're out in a place like this. You really want to see. That huge windshield is awesome.
Yeah.
The driving experience out here is great. A B is kind of like a hybrid between the two. It's the van chassis. There's nothing over the cab. It's all behind the cab. So A's are probably the biggest and the nicer of the three, depending on what you want.
Do you want to say what you paid for this?
We paid around $15 for this, and it was 17 years old. It only had 35,000 miles on it when I bought it.
That's very good.
And it's, for the most part, been in excellent condition. It's got some things that were neglected on it, and we're covering that, but it was a good deal. I was going to say, buying an RV is difficult because in the used market, you're having to get online and look for what's out there. And as soon as you see something, if it's a good deal, if you don't jump on it, it's sold. And you're looking at this ad, like a Craigslist ad or something, and it's across the country. It may be a 2-hour, or 3-hour, or a 10-hour drive or an airplane ride away, and you've got to decide whether it's worth your time to go see it. And if it is, you need to go see it today or tomorrow or within a week, or it's gone.
How far away was this?
This was in North Carolina. And I actually went on a trip with Parker to Georgia to buy. We had a short list of RVs. This was on it. A couple other rigs were on it. We went to Georgia, and I thought we were going to buy the rig in Georgia when we left. So we went out in the morning. We thought we were going to be back with the RV at night. Well, we didn't get that RV. Talked ourselves out of it. Actually decided that night to just stay the night in the area and come
You
back
and Parker
the next morning.
deliberating and...
So we grabbed a hotel room. We have no clean clothes, no toothbrush, no nothing. And we wake up the next morning and decide, instead of going back to that RV and buying it, we would drive further out to North Carolina and look at this RV, which obviously we ended up buying. And then we drove it home. But that's the thing, is you're out on this road trip looking at RVs, and it's expensive to go driving around looking at RVs. So this pressure of how many more of these trips are we going to go on before we go ahead and buy the RV?
You're kind of pressured to settle.
Right.
Like, here it is, let's just,
And we kind of had some timing
I'm not
in
saying
mind.
you settled for this, but...
Well, maybe we did, but that's the thing, is if we
don't
passed
know.
up on this, would we have found something better in the next week or 2 or 3 or a month or 3? And we had some timing on this vacation where we wanted to leave around the time that we did. And so we were kind of on a schedule, and it was also one of those things in life where it's a big decision, and you've got the emotional momentum to go ahead and do that thing. If you don't do it then, you might waffle enough to get off the fence, and then it never happens. So this is also a little bit of a carpe diem.
And the kids are only this age for a little bit of time. If you wait
Bingo.
another 5 years, they'll be...
They're a perfect age right now because you can fit them in this bed.
Yeah.
And they're independent enough where you're not changing diapers, and they're old enough to remember the vacation that they had. So it's not like
This is it. This is the vacation of a lifetime.
So we're hoping for the next several years we can continue to own this, and we can take it out on a cross-country trip at least once a year. We would like to think that we can get into some things like disaster relief. So we want to get in. I know there's RVers out there that's their main gig, and there's communities, online communities of folks who do that. So we want to get plugged into that. We want to use the RV in a way that gives back to folks. So we think that we've really been blessed with the means to do this. And while we're doing kind of it for ourselves right now, something that's on our bucket list, we want to turn this into a tool that we can use to do good works.
And that's what's nice is that you bought it instead of renting. It gives you more flexibility to do what you want to do instead of...
Yeah. Well, we looked at renting for this trip. That was one of the trade-offs. Well, what if we don't pull the trigger now? Can we still go on this vacation in a motorhome? And it was a lot. Between airfare, flying us out to like Denver to start the trip, renting an RV, paying for the extra mile fees that we would incur, we were going to blow a third of the cost of this RV just on renting, and it had nothing to show for it other than pictures. So that helped a lot to buy this RV and maybe even push our budget a little bit.
Right. And there's a good chance, just your lifestyle, you will use it next year. Because just work.
Yep.
You have that flexibility.
That was another key thing here. Having worked full time as an engineer for Harley for 15 years, I was tied to that. In fact, that's one reason I left the company to do consulting work, is so many hours were spent at the company. So the past year has shown that consulting has really fit our family well. We've been able to homeschool, live in rural Tennessee, work 20 to 30 hours a week, and still put food on the table. I was able to work more hours and save up money to buy this RV and pay for this vacation, and then dial hours back. And then right now I'm in between jobs, so we've got lots of freedom to travel. And the hope is that in the future, most of my work is telecommuting. I do travel to customer sites occasionally, but we could just stop at an airport somewhere or a campground near airport. I got a ride out to the airport. Tracy and the kids stay at the campground for the weekend while I'm out working. Come back, hop in the RV, and
Perfect.
Now if I can get Tracy behind the wheel, which is a big if, she could drop me off at one airport and she could travel to somewhere else and pick me up at another airport. But
That'd be fun.
Tracy's not yet comfortable behind the wheel.
If someone's on the verge of buying, they're on the fence, what would you tell them about, and they have the flexibility to travel like you do, what would you highly recommend it? Has it been good for your family, your marriage,
Right.
your soul?
Well, they say, whoever they is, I guess Tracy and I have run across this bit of wisdom in plenty of books about parenting, or bloggers, big family bloggers and homeschooling bloggers and all that travel together as a family is one of the best things that you can do to bond a family together. Because no matter what the experience is, whether it's a fabulous, everything's peachy, or if you're on the side of the road and flat tire and it's raining, or whatever that experience is, it's a shared experience. And your family unit is isolated from the rest of the world. So it forces you into an us versus the rest of the world, conquering the world kind of scenario. So you're all on the same team. So you have a common objective, and you have to work together to make it happen, and everybody's contribution is valued, and just all sorts of good things about being out on the road together. And yeah, for the weeks and months leading up into this trip, there were many times where I was thinking, I can't wait to get on the road so that we can separate ourselves from this noise of everyday life, and we can really see just our family working together. We don't have the distractions and the other influences that are working against what we're trying to do as parents. And also there's plenty of fun and adventure and eye candy and all that to sweeten the deal for the kids. And so far our trip has, like I said earlier, been a lot of schedule and got to do this and got to keep going and maintenance on the RV. And I think this last half of the trip should slow down, and we can, if the kids want to do something, hey, great, let's go do that. So somebody who is considering that, I would say whether you do it in an RV or if your lifestyle is more of driving in a minivan and staying in hotels, all that's good too. But getting out on the road, and there's so much to see in this country, so many different things.
Yeah, it really blew me away. Just once you cross like Oklahoma, it's a different planet.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really is.
Well, and I'll put in a plug for this app that I found called roadtrippers.com, which is also a website. And it's a mapping thing. You put in, I want to go here, and it almost makes like a AAA triptych for you. It highlights the route, and the highlighter you can make 1 mile wide or 29 miles wide or infinite, and you say all the kinds of things that you'd like to know about along the way, whether they're museums, historical sites, or offbeat things, or kid things, or family fun friendly, or national parks, whatever, and it shows you. So you can be driving along the road, and oh look, kids, the world's largest rocking chair is 15 miles up the road, 10 miles down some side street that you'd never know about. I'd like to think that on the second half of this vacation weekend, the kids can say, hey Dad, I want to go see this rocket ship museum.
Let's do it.
Yeah, go for it. So.
All right. 23 minutes.
That's a wrap.